Hey guys, it's Ren the Governor. While I'm here working on my own manga pages and trying to get content ready for you guys to read for Hunters of Illumis, I'm going to give you guys some tips on how you can start creating your own manga or webtoon. I have 5 tips that I set up, 3 of them being questions to ask yourself and really reflect on things, and 2 that I would say are pretty overall and really good for organization and keeping a consistent basis in your own stories. So the first question I ask is, how do you want to write your story? The story, when you begin, that's one of the biggest questions to ask yourself. Where, from what perspective, from what mindset are you writing the story? Is your character development the main factors of your story? Are you just focused on the character relationships, how the characters are going to be? Or are you making a vast world and really getting people invested more in the aspects of the world, the environment, and everything around the characters, instead of just the relationships, romances, or anything that goes between them? That will really dictate how you write it, how you set it up, and how you place story points, what you're really focusing on at each arc or major event within your story. That's going to be a very big deal, because you're going to either be really wanting to make your climaxes and resolutions centered around your characters or how the world is affected by everything. My next one is, what themes are prevalent in the story? This is one that's really important to me because as a Christian, I have a lot of different morals and values that align with the Bible. So I like to write things based on that, based on what things I see in life and how I want to reflect it. I don't always make it super um, kid friendly, I guess you would say, but I always like to circle back to something that I can really stand behind, and I think that's what makes writing very easy if you have your own aspect of writing and how the characters develop, how they grow, that really align with you. You'll really resonate with that a lot more than trying to find something that isn't very connected to you or something. And you can always write that. That's always good, but I feel like it always makes the writing process a lot easier if you have something that you resonate with, whether it's morals or themes. That's something that I always try to make sure I stick with when I step into my writing process. The next one is, does your style emulate the emotion you want to reflect? That is an interesting one because I feel like my style doesn't always reflect what I want to do, but every now and then I try to find something somebody else did really well and try to emulate that within certain scenes or moments. But for the most part, your story should be a reflection of the emotion you're trying to present to your audience. I really like to be I write mostly shonen style kind of stories, so my style is very fun, but can be serious at times as well in the moments that it needs to be. But for you, is if you want to make a horror story, are you good with darks? Are you confident with your darks, with using blacks and using shadows and adding cross hatching? If you are wanting to write a fun slice of life story, are you good at have you gotten down that light fluffy effect that would really work best for those kind of stories? Now, there's always shock value. You can always have a horror story with a light and fluffy style to really get the readers kind of thrown off. That's something you can always do, and I think that's a very interesting way of going about it. But if you want your style to be the emulation of that, that's something you should really consider and really try to work on and study. Go on to Pinterest, go on to Instagram, look at artists that really do that well. Look up references that do that well, so that as you're going, and sometimes I even find the references as I'm drawing the chapters themselves. So you don't have to be like, oh, it has to be perfect before I get it, but always just make sure you're looking up those things and keeping those things in your back pocket whenever that moments come up, or when those moments come up in your story where you have to change up whatever you're doing, to fit the emotion that is being set in those moments or throughout the entire story. The last two are a little more statement based. So one of the ones is stay ahead in your writing. I like to stay probably 10 chapters ahead of myself with Hunters of Illumis, because when I tried making Providence, which is another one of my webtoon slash mangas, I fell back a lot, and I reached a point where my writing was behind on my art, and so I would have to write a chapter and then draw the chapter, and then write another chapter and then draw the chapter, and I just felt that was really overwhelming, and I got to a point where I hit a wall because I was just kind of going chapter by chapter by chapter, and that doesn't really help when you're not sitting and processing the story enough. And also just staying ahead in the basis of your writing. Write the world out. Write the different abilities, the aspects behind the abilities, so you're not staying too focused on just the art itself, but you're really paying attention to, okay, does this fit where it should? Is this best for the character at this moment? Is this best for the character at this moment? You can move chapters around. It really helps a lot, and I've done that quite a bit with Hunters of Illumis, moving chapters around, changing events in the story because I stayed ahead of my writing. And my last tip is be confident and consistent. Always be confident in your writing. Always be confident in your style. Always be confident in what you do, and but allow and help. And the best way to build that confidence is by being consistent with your writing. Like I said in the last tip, writing out your world, writing out everything that goes on in the story really helps you know, okay, I'm doing this in the story, but is that consistent with what I wrote as the foundation of my world? Don't allow yourself to fall into plot holes that too often, because if you write a big world, sometimes there'll be things that just kind of happen, but always give yourself a way, possibly if you can, to explain things and give a reason just for yourself. For me, I'm very nitpicky about that kind of stuff, so I always try to be as consistent as possible with my writing and how I go about things. But that's really a really important thing. But just be confident, and the consistency in my mind builds confidence. As you continue to go, you can just start writing and go about writing, and because you already have the world typed out, you can just create a scenarios within that framework that you've already established. So just keep being confident, keep writing, and hopefully that builds the consistency and in your content creation and in your story plots and themes as well. Well, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy working with me as I work on this chapter, and I hope to get this out to you guys soon. Please like and subscribe if you guys have the time, and also follow me on Instagram at ren_the_governor. I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Much love, everyone.